Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm working with you step by step through each of the ABRSM theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets which you can download in US letter or A4, and they accompany each step of this series. You'll find a page there with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also find out about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best be prepared for your exam, and also how to make the best use of your time come exam day. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be really super, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. And now we're going to make a start together on the Grade 3 2019 Paper B. So if you open your Music Theory Practice Papers booklet, you'll find it on page 7. And so, as I always say, I hope you've had a go of this on your own. First of all, it doesn't matter if you go wrong. It's always better to learn by your mistakes than just by sort of passively copying it through. So I'm hoping you've had a go of that, and now we'll look through this together. So this first page gets a little bit mathematical as we're thinking about all these different note values and time signatures. However, there are ways of sort of going about it to make it a little bit easier. So question 1 asks us to add the missing bar lines to each of these 3 melodies. So be careful, it's 3 separate melodies with 3 different time signatures. It's not a continuation. They all begin on the first beat of the bar, but they don't end on a complete bar, so you can't work backwards if you get a bit stuck. So that's sort of something that you have to watch out for. You can only start from the beginning here. So then we have a time signature here of 4 half beats or 4 minim beats per bar. And so we just need to do a little bit of counting for that. Now we know a whole note or a semibreve divides into 2 half notes or 2 minims. So there's 1 beat, 2 beats, there's our 3rd beat. Now here, that's a crotchet beat rest, a quarter note rest, and then 2 eighth notes, 2 quavers give us a crotchet. We know that 2 crotchets give us a minim or a half note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's our first bar line. Just there. And so let's carry on. So we know that 2 crotchets, 2 quarter notes give us a minim or a half note. There's 1 beat, there's another beat. So we have a crotchet, 2 quavers give us another crotchet or quarter note, which together gives us a minim. So that's only 1, 2, 3 so far. We need to do another beat. So 2 quavers gives us a crotchet or a quarter note. With this next crotchet or quarter note, that gives us our minim beat, our half note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's the next bar line. There's 1 beat, a crotchet beat, rest, quarter note rest, and then another quarter note crotchet beat. Combined together gives us our next beat, our second minim beat, half note, 1, 2. Now here we have a crotchet or a quarter note. The dot after that gives us a quaver or an eighth note's worth, half as much again. And then there's another quaver, which together gives us another got a bit carried away there, another crotchet or quarter note. And together all of that gives us our minim beat. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now don't get confused by this triplet sign. Remember, that just means 3 in the time of 2. So 3 crotchet beats, 3 quarter notes in the time of 2, which gives us our final minim beat, our half note, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's our bar line. Sort of scrambles your brain a little bit, but take it steady and you'll be fine. So now we're counting in quaver beats, eighth notes, and we need to count 9 quaver notes per bar, which works out as 3 groups of 3 quavers. So just something to think about there. So we're counting 3 groups of 3 quavers. So 1, 2, 3, that's one group. because a crotchet or a quarter note divides into 2 quavers, 2 eighth notes, 1, 2, 3. Now here we have a quaver beat, half as much again with this next semiquaver here, because half of a quaver is a semiquaver. Here's another semiquaver. So those two with the dot give us 1 quaver beat. There's a quaver beat. There's a quaver beat. So that 1, 2, 3. There's our next group of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's our next group of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's our bar line. So 1, 2, 3. That's a quaver beat rest, an eighth note rest. There's our first group of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's our next group of 3. 1, 2, 3 quaver beats. 2 semiquavers give us a quaver, 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 eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. 1, 2, 3. So there's our 1, 2, 3 groups of 3, bar line under the tie. So let's carry on. 1. There's our 1 quaver beat, 1 eighth note. 2 semiquavers, 2 16th notes gives another. So there's beat 2. Well, the second quaver beat, 3. So there's our first group of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's our next group of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's our next group of 3. And so there's the bar line. So incomplete bar again here. That's what the etc. is telling us. It's not a complete bar at the end. And now we have slightly shorter bars, 2 beats in a bar, and each beat is a crotchet or a quarter note. Again, don't be thrown by the triplet sign. It just means 3 in the time of 2. So let's just do that straight away before we get going. That's basically the maths of what's going on here. So we have a quaver, 2 semiquavers, which is a quaver. So there's our first crotchet beat, our first quarter note. Eighth note gives us a quarter note. There's a crotchet beat. Quaver, quaver rest gives us our next crotchet beat. Now here, let's do this a slightly different way. Well, we'll do it both ways actually. So first of all, we know that here is a quaver. The dot is half as much again, and so that's a semiquaver or a 16th note. There's another 16th note, and a quaver and 2 semiquavers gives us a whole beat. However, let's just look at how we can break that down differently, and you could do this in the other questions as well. If maths isn't your strong point, like me, you might just prefer to visualise it this way. So we're counting in crotchet beats now. So we have a quaver, which is half of a beat, and then the dot gives us another half again, half of that half as it were. So we now have 3/4 of a beat, and then this quaver here gives us the final beat. So there's our full crotchet beat. And also the beaming will help you. So you can see that everything's going to be beamed in its unit value. So that will also help you. So you can think 1, 2, 3. Actually, I've missed my bar line. So 1, 2, I can get going. I've got carried away with the maths. There's a bar line. So 1, 2, 1, 2. There's 1 beat. However, let's just double check the maths just to be sure. So let's do that again. A quarter beat and a quarter beat with those 2 semiquavers, the 16th notes, and then a half a beat shows that that's all a beat there. So there's our next bar completed. So let's do that again here. Gets really sort of subdivided now. So let's just do that again here. Although we know that it's beamed in a crotchet beat, a quarter note, let's just double check that. So then we have a half a beat here with our quaver, and then half of that again, half of the half is the quarter, and then these two actually divide into eighths of a beat with the demi-semiquavers, and they now complete that beat there. So there's beat 1. we've already worked out that a dotted quaver is 3/4, half of a beat, and then the dot is half of that half. And this time, instead of having a semiquaver, a 16th note, we have the same value as a rest, but the principle is the same. There's our second beat, beat 1, beat 2. There we go, and I think coming up to the last bar, there's half of a beat, there's 1 beat, and then 2/4 of a beat with this half give us our second beat, sort of syncopated off beat there. So there we go, that's our bar completed, and then we have an incomplete bar at the end. Phew, there we go. Let's move on to our next question. So we are asked to rewrite this melody, but we've got to correctly beam the notes. So we've got to beam them to reflect the time signature and the unit value that we are counting in. Common time is 4/4, which means 4 crotchet beats, 4 quarter notes per bar. So we have to start each new group to reflect each new beat. So don't just think, oh, 4 semiquavers are beamed together to show a beat, because we've got to still take into consideration the dot and where the start of the beat occurs. So before we get writing and scribbling away, let's just do some thinking. Here is 1 beat, and then here is the first half of beat 2, so we need to finish this beat. So 2/4 give us the remaining half, so they actually belong to completing this dot. They don't belong to this group here, they belong to beat 2. So now we're on to beat 3. 2/4 and a half give us beat 3, and then we have 3/4 of a beat and a quarter of a beat. There's beat 4. So that's how the beams are going to have to go to reflect each new beat. So we have 3/4 of a beat here, and then here, if I just jot that down, because a half and a quarter makes 3/4, we have an 1/8 of a beat and an 1/8 of a beat in these demi-semis, which together give us the remaining quarter for the first beat of the bar. Then we have a half and 2/4 for beat 2. 2/4 and a half of a beat, beat 3. 2 halves give us the final beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we write it out, you'll see how beaming it correctly makes it so much easier to read, where you can see the start of each new beat. So the final bar, and then we've nearly done all the hard thinking. 2 halves of a beat give us beat 1. 3/4 and a quarter of a beat give us beat 2. 2/4 and a half of a beat give us beat 3, and beat 4 is just a crotchet, so nothing to do there. So we've done all of the thinking, and now we've just got to write it out. However, I'm going to just get the blobs in position first. I'm not going to worry about stems just yet, for 2 reasons. I'm going to keep everything aligned just so I don't get lost, and also there's a lot of notes here, so I don't want to run out of space. And also, now that we're beaming, we may have to make some decisions and change some stem directions. So I'm just going to make sure I only think of one thing at a time, just so I don't get lost. It's just about breaking things down into manageable sized tasks, really. If you're trying to do everything at once, something's bound to go wrong, because there's a lot to be thinking about here. So let's just get the pitch correct first. Let's get the note heads in the right place. A bit of therapeutic colouring in of blobs is all that's required just yet. Keeping everything reasonably in step with the given example, just so I don't run out of space and so I don't get lost. So there we go. So now we've done the thinking, we've just got to translate that into actually writing it out. So this is a dotted crotchet, nothing to change. So these 2 will be beamed together to finish off this dot, the second part of beat 2. Now then here, let's think, we've got 1 that's the middle line that can go either way. That should go up, that should go down, so it's a 50-50 split. The stems could go either way really. I'm just going to go down to keep it in style of the rest, but you could do the stems up, I suppose, there. These will be stems down for sure because this one needs it. This one can go either way. The middle line being our deciding point. These are all above the middle line, so these will have stems going down. So 2 beams extra there. Stems going down. I can do it freehand going that way, but not this way because I'm right-handed, so I'll use a ruler now. You by all means use a ruler all of the time to keep it neat and tidy. I'm just trying to be reasonably quick, so the video doesn't go on forever and ever. So 2 semis. So these are 2 quavers now. Now then here, this again is one either side of each way. That should go up, that should go down. So we've got to just make a call. It could go either way. I'll keep it down just because that's what I did here. It could go the other way. This will have to have stems going up though for the sake of this A. No, it's a bass clef C, sorry. Because that's below. These will have stems going up because those 2 are below. That one can go either way, so it must conform to these 2. And there we go. So now let's just make sure what we've written makes sense so that we can see we've got the correct number of beats per bar. There's beat 1, there's beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. And that's that question completed. We'll look at the next question in the next video. I do hope that's helpful to you. I hope it's helpful to your studies. I hope that you're enjoying getting to grips with this subject. I'm certainly enjoying working through it with you. If you can give me a like, that would be really super, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated, and do share out the videos. Please also do visit sharonbill.com and have a good look around all of the resource and information that's available there to help you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.